I'm Dr. Tom Jans. Back in 1982, I published the first research that directly compared the power of behavior description interviewing with traditional unstructured interviewing. Even back then, behavioral interviewing was about 3 times more accurate than traditional unstructured interviews. I went on to become the lead author on the book Behavior Description Interviewing: New, Accurate, Cost-Effective, and the accumulated research since then continues to support the power of behavioral interviewing as one of the most powerful ways to make sure you hire the right person the first time. But things are not all completely rosy when it comes to the practical application of behavioral interviewing. Lots of things get in the way of realizing the full value from the rigorous use of BD principles. Some hirers fall asleep at the training, and while they like the cookies served during the breaks, they don't pick up the key concepts. Then they aren't tested to make sure they get it, and even more important, that they actually put BD principles to use in the interview room. Other hirers just like their good old opinion questions, even though they don't work. You know the ones. What did you like most and least about your last job? What are your strengths and weaknesses? And why should we hire you? But in addition to the skill gaps between ideal and actual interviewing skills practice, there's something more fundamental. Time and logistics mean that you can only interview the short list, 4 to 6 of the best candidates. But then how do you decide who to put on the short list? Online psychometric testing is one good answer since it can be both powerful and cost-effective, and PeopleAssessments.com offers that also through our strengths inventory, logic inventory, and performance inventories. But even after a good set of screen-out tests, in today's labor market, there can be 10, 20, and sometimes even 50 strong candidates left. What do you do with them? Most hirers skim the resumes and make a subjective decision on fit. And that while that takes time and effort, it doesn't increase the average talent value of the short list much at all. That's where Behavioral Interview Online comes in, or BIO. It collects high-quality behavior description answers from dozens of candidates while you sleep. This video tour shows how it works and why it closes the gaps left wide open by most organizations, even after they train their hiring managers in behavioral interviewing. Each online behavioral interview question has 3 parts. In the first part, the candidate describes a key result that describes briefly what they accomplished. In the second part, we collect information that would allow that key result to be confirmable by collecting an email address and phone number of someone the candidate gives us permission to contact to confirm their success. And then finally, in the third part, we collect guided and probed and feedback coached answers on what did the candidate do to accomplish the result. And here's how that looks. So for a nursing assistant role, here is the first question. We value people who work steadily on assigned tasks and find ways to add value in between assignments. Please recall your best example of working steadily over a long time to accomplish a valuable result for your organization. Well, first of all, we want to find out, when are you thinking about? And we do this to kind of anchor the candidate in a specific time. So we ask when it occurred, and the candidate can pick the month and year to indicate roughly when this example comes from. When did they accomplish this key result? And then we want to see kind of a headline description of that result. Typed in the box. And then we ask, how often have similar kinds of situations come up? And we do that, again, for a particular purpose when this would be used in a face-to-face interview, in a personalized interview kit later on, because if you know that there's been only once, that's not nearly as impressive as if the person has done this kind of thing several times. And so if there are 3 to 5 or 6 to 10 other times, then when you get to the actual interview, you can ask the candidate, well, that was a great story about how you made sure that all the supply cabinets were fully stocked. But what I'd like to hear is about another one like that from some of the others that you said that have happened. And that gives you a chance to sort of triangulate on that specific kind of success. Then we collect information to help auto-confirm the story. So we get the name of someone, their role, The organization they're at is captured in their email address. We ask for a corporate email address so that we're not really allowing people to have their brothers confirm their success by using a Hotmail or a Gmail account. And then we get specific permission from the candidate. They can indicate that they'd like us to contact the person only after they've accepted an offer or confirm the performance level at any time. And then we ask the candidate to rate themselves. How do they think the contact's going to rate them compared to others in similar circumstance, and how confident are they of that rating? And those numbers all go into an algorithm that computes a preliminary or a proxy rating for the answer that would then be confirmed once the third party gives additional confirmation. Now we go on to the third part that I mentioned, where we're going to ask the candidate to now recall their best example of a time and how did they do it. Not what they accomplished now, which they've already described briefly, but how did they go about it. And there are some probes that we provide that are specific to the question out of our database of questions. And we have a library of 80 competencies that the hiring manager can pick to really zero in on what are the characteristics most important for success on this job. And each one of those competencies has questions associated for either experienced or inexperienced candidates. So here the candidate types in their description of what they, how they went about accomplishing the specific task. And then after this, the program is going to analyze this answer and scan through it and look for things that indicate that it's not quite behavioral. We really aren't trying to give the candidate some cues at all on how to make their story more impressive. We just want to make it more behavioral so that it can be objectively evaluated. So once they click the next skill, then there is a review of their answer. And first of all, it restates the answer, and then scanning through the answer, it indicates that we noticed you've sometimes used the following words, such as often. And these words can signal that you're describing a generality, not a specific. Or you've used words like should, could, and try, which indicate that you're providing an opinion rather than a specific description. Or you've used words like us, they, and we, which indicate you're describing what others have done or teams have done as opposed to you've done. And then you have the choice. You can either edit your action and respond to these, or you can just move on to the next action. So that gives you an idea of how we collect behavior descriptions, we coach the candidate to make sure that they're on track, and then we collect confirmation with an auto email process through third parties. In the next video tour, we'll show you what the results are, what the assessment report says, how it all comes together.